Good morning, Raiders. Please pause where you are in the building at this time for a brief period of quiet reflection. Please stand for the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
For as long as Americans can remember, the Pledge of Allegiance has been a tradition implemented in most public schools. But over the years, the meaning of the pledge has changed for more and more students. So what does the pledge mean to Generation Z? And what has America done to cause students to protest it?
I see buddies here and there, mighty lonesome in despair. Got no home and got no job and got no friends. If their troubles you ignore, if you turn them from your door, then you can tell the world that Hitler lives again. Hitler lives if we hurt our fellow men. Hitler lives if we forget those who fought where heroes died, that our flag might float on high. If we forget, Hitler lives, Hitler lives.
The Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy. Bellamy was president of the Society of Christian Socialists, and he was extremely xenophobic, referring to foreigners in America as an inferior race. So how did an immigrant-hating socialist end up writing the Statement of American Patriotism? Bellamy was asked to write the original pledge for the Youth's Companion, a popular magazine at the time. The magazine sought out to find a short statement that could be read by school students every day in order to sell the flags that they were advertising in that very same issue. Yeah, the pledge was created as a marketing scheme. Little did they know the traction that the pledge would bring over the years, and the debate that would come with it. Students are becoming more aware of their right to choose whether to sit or stand, despite the social and disciplinary repercussions. Personally, I never stood for the pledge because it was something I saw as strange and unnecessary, but it wasn't until I saw the controversy surrounding Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the anthem that I became aware of the power that my decision had. This has been the general case with many other kids of my generation as well.
I first started sitting for the pledge about 5th grade. Something really close to home happened with my family, and it was almost like a sign of rebellion at first, but then as I started getting older, I started understanding what it really meant to sit for the pledge.
Most young people have either heard or experienced a story of someone being punished or ridiculed for sitting during it. But the media portrayal of this issue is a bit misleading because it generalizes all young people and teens as protesters of the pledge and fails to recognize that standing up and reciting this statement is a ritual that still lives in the hearts of many members of Generation Z.
The Pledge of Allegiance is important to me because it unites us, it represents what the U.S. is supposed to be, and we're saluting the concept of justice and the concept of freedom and liberty and whatnot.
For this much controversy about something, it can be assumed that people know the basics surrounding the subject, right?
Do you think people should sit or stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I think people should stand for the Pledge of Allegiance because sitting is just it's offensive to the country.
I think people should stand for the Pledge of Allegiance because this is our nation and it's a good thing to stand up and respect the United States of America.
Some people feel like they should stand, and go for it, but I personally don't stand for the pledge.
I think people should stand for the pledge because out of the two options, it's the most respectful thing to do.
Personally, I sit for the pledge because I'm just trying to do homework.
What does indivisible mean?
Invisible?
Indivisible.
Unbreakable, I think.
Indivisible, You know what indivisible means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
Indivisible. Ugh. Caitlin, what's it mean?
Not divisible.
One of the first and most notable controversies surrounding the pledge involved two Supreme Court cases. Minersville versus Gobitis in 1940, which allowed public schools to force students to stand for the pledge, and just 3 years later, the West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, which stated that students in public schools can choose whether to sit or stand because of their First Amendment rights. These two cases surrounded Jehovah's Witnesses, who claimed that the pledge opposed their religious beliefs because it idolized something other than God. Along with this, there is a more religion-based aspect of the pledge.
The line under God in the pledge, I do see it being offensive to people who may not have the same beliefs as the person who created it.
Reverting back to an earlier version of the pledge would sit better with many students and work to better include students of different religious and cultural backgrounds. In my opinion, instead of arguing for the sake of it, we should appreciate that new generations are bringing America closer to a country of liberty, equality, and happiness.